Good evening, sir.
Yes, very good evening, Dr. Madhurima.
So shall I start the session or shall I wait for a few minutes?
We'll wait for a few minutes, right?
Thank you, sir.
Audible, ma'am? No, ma'am.
Dr. Shohili Guhaniyogi, ma'am, your screen is visible, but the voice is not clear.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, it's audible.
I think we'll start now, Dr. Madhurima. Yes, over to you. Yes.
Okay. A very good evening to our respected director, sir, from Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, Dr. Avindu Dissanayak, sir. Good evening to our respected guest speaker, Dr. Shohili Guhaniyogi Ghotok, and to all our participants. I, the head of the Department of Gender Studies from Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, would like to welcome all of you to another webinar on aging through the lens of gender, perspectives of care and well-being. So before starting with the session, I would like to introduce the guest speaker for today. Her name is Dr. Shohili Guhaniyogi Ghotok, who is presently serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Sociology, Hijli College, along with the postdoctoral fellow from Abo Academy University, Finland, followed by academic consultant and social worker. To introduce the speaker to all of you, Dr. Shohili Guhaniyogi Ghotok has completed her studies from University of Calcutta and also her PhD from Calcutta University. Her areas of research and specialization include sociology of aging, gerontology, quality of life, rural and urban sociology, and social problems. She has more than 25 national and international publications, including Springer, Taylor and Francis, McGraw-Hill, and has edited one book which is published by Taylor and Francis and has innumerable paper presentations. She was invited as resource person in national TV channel along with UGC-sponsored seminars and conferences in national and international colleges and universities. She has more than 14 years of experience of teaching in WEPSU, that is West Bengal State University, Calcutta University, and Adamas University, respectively. So it is indeed an honor, and I would like to welcome the guest speaker to enlighten all of us on the topic entitled for today, which is Aging Through the Lens of Gender, Perspectives of Care and Well-being. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. Dr. Madhurima Dashgupta, ma'am, and Dr. Avindu for providing me this opportunity to present my paper. Am I audible?
Yes, sometimes now you are audible. Yes, sir.
Okay. Some network problem is going on. So, thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to present my paper in this. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible, but slides are not changing.
Yeah, I have not yet changed.
Okay.
So today I would discuss the topic which is Nowadays, the academics and in the policymakers, they are giving much more importance nowadays aging. That is the problem of elderly people. And as we know, the developed countries, they are suffering for different kinds of aged related problems. But the developing countries like India, we would also face these problems related to age with uh, by 2037 and by 2050. So nowadays we are more in India. There are younger generation are more, but by the time 2037 and 2050, the elderly people would be more among the population. They now in as per the 2021 data, there are one elderly people within every six people in India. So the situation would be uh, double, like the every 3% there would be one elderly people by 2037. So the problem of aging is going to be severe in countries like India, as different developed countries are facing different kinds of problems of aging, and different policymakers and sociologists, psychologists, and environmentalists, they are giving more importance nowadays on this aging scenario. And there is, of course, the aging and the gender related issues are uh, more important. So, uh, as we know that the elderly people, the female are more prone to live longer, and that is called the feminization of aging also. So the life expectancy has risen up to 73.9 years for the female and 70.7 years for male. It's not that uh, it is only in India, but as we know, the life expectancy in the developed countries, it's around 78 years. So the aging and gender is a very like important issues while we are talking about different problems of aging. So there are different gender related societal role divisions with the special demands and expectation from both the gender, and the in Indian countries men are not giving that much importance in different kinds of household making this uh, different work. So that's why they have to face different kinds of problem while they are in a old age. So there are different societal aging society index. So the difference based on the gender, the aging or in our old age has different parameters. Specifically, the gender gap in the old age can be understood in terms of this productivity and engagement, which is basically the measures connectedness within and outside the workforce. Then well-being, it's based on the measure of the state of being healthy, and then based on the equity and measure gap in well-being and economic security. Then on the basis of the cohesion, that measures social connectedness within and between generations, and security, which measures support for retirement and physical safety. Now, there are different key factors while we discuss about the aging and gender differences. So aging is expected differently by men and women because of different factors. One of the key factor is biological factor, that women generally live longer than men by 4 to 7 years, depending on the country's different uh, health related measures or policies. Uh, but in general, there are possible reasons for this. That genetics is one of the reason for living longer of these women. That the estrogen may have protective effects on the heart for the women. Second, the immunity system of women tend to have a stronger responses, and risk-taking behavior of the male members are more in the society, while they have different habit of smoking alcohol and different other dangerous substance abuses. So these three reasons are mainly give the elderly women more longer life, average 4 to 7 years longer than the male counterparts. Women experience more chronic illness, though they have different kinds. They have to suffer different kinds of chronic illness, as we know that with the ages after 40, the women has to suffer for different kinds of uh, problem of reducing vitamin D and other uh, issues which basically lead to different kinds of chronic illness, arthritis, dementia, all these things. But men face higher rate of life-threatening conditions. That is heart disease, cancer, stroke. These kind of diseases are more among the elderly men, or in general men. That's why the male person, they are more likely to die earlier than their women counterparts. And dementia and Alzheimer's are also common in women rather than men counterparts, and that may be possibly due to the longer life expectancy. So the old elderly population, that means that there may be three categories of elderly people: young, old, and the oldest old. 60 to 69 is young old, 70 to 75 is the oldest is 80 and above. So case of elderly women, there is more possibility of living longer. So that's why they have to face dementia and Alzheimer's kinds of diseases more than their male counterparts. Then there are other factors like economic and financial factors also, like gender pay gap and pensions. Women, as we know, that women earn less than men throughout their life, and due to the gender pay gap and career interactions, and women have lower pensions also, as in most of the cases, specifically in developing countries, the women are less into the working sector. So that's why maybe they don't have any pension, or even if they have, even if they were involved in any kind of working sector, they had less pensions and retirement savings. And increasing financial insecurity in the old age is more among the elderly women. And most in most of the cases, women are not involved in a working sector, so they always had a savings on the basis of their husbands. Why the property and other financial things are more ownership are more to the male members in from the their life course, entire life, and that obviously affect their old age. So they lack financial security. And another point is that widowhood and financial vulnerability is the women, those who live longer, there is a possibility of having their life with the widowhood. So after their husbands death, they in most of the cases have to suffer different kinds of financial vulnerabilities and leading to different instability with financial instability, rely on their spouse's pensions and which may be reduced or lost after their partner's death. There is also the high poverty risk that older women are at a greater risk of poverty than the men. And the caregiving and societal role is another factor that in caregiving is the caregivers are basically women, maybe in a formal sector or in a informal sector. The caregiver are mainly the women take care of others in family, and in the formal sector also the nurses are more the women, but they don't care about their health, rather than they take more care about the other their family members, specifically the male members, as the patriarchal values make them this kind of give them this kind of socialization that the women have to give care to the male members more rather than the women or the girl child. Starting from their childhood, they have this kind of in the patriarchal society, this kind of orientation or this kind of socialization, uh, they they are used to this kind of socialization, that they can be the caregiver, but they cannot be the care receiver. So this kind of societal role and the caregiving expectation, which give them less importance about their own health. So means higher risk of social isolation is there is another point which can also discuss that older men are less likely to build and maintain strong social networks, because in most of the cases they are involved in the working sector or the public sphere. So after their retirement, they don't develop that much of networking from their working life, that they don't have that much of networking with their relatives or friends. They, in most of the cases, had the all kind of networking in their working sector or within the public domain, not in a private sphere. So that social networking lacks with the older men. The women are more likely to engage in the social activities and have friends that support them in their old age. So that is one point which the elderly women, if even if they live longer, this facilities of engaging in different kinds of social activities throughout their life help them, that they like they get different kinds of support from their friends or from their neighbors. House, men experience higher rate of loneliness than the widowed women. Now there are different psychological and emotional factors. Mental health difference. Women are more likely to experience depression and anxiety. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Yeah, yeah. It's showing my networks. Okay, thank you. So, mental health difference, women are more likely to experience depression and anxiety, often linked to caregiver stress, widowhood, and financial worries, as the there is this socialization tendencies among the women that for they usually take more anxiety for their family members, and they experience different depressions also. Though it may be, though it is a psychology or an emotional factor, but it can be regulated through different kinds of socialization practices, that the girl child, they usually see their mother to take all kind of tension for their family members, and they get all different more anxiety. So the girl child, they also learn from their mother or other female members in their family, that they also have to be more anxious for their family members or different kind of issues in a family. So in that way, though it's a psychological factor, but the social factors in that way that can capitalize that can give that kind of practicing habit among the women or the girl child from the beginning only. Often linked to the caregiver stress also, as that in most of the cases, the women or the girl child from the beginning, they have to take care of their male counterparts or male family members in most of the cases. So that caregiving itself can be a stressful things if it is for the elderly people, for the children. So proper caregiving is all uh, give different stress to the women. So there are other issues also, that widowhood and their financial issues, that give them more, that they are more prone to anxiety and the depression. And but men have more higher rate of suicide in our old age, because in most of the cases, the social isolation and difficulty of expressing emotions among the male members are less, as in most of the cases they public sphere, and they don't express their emotions with the family members or their friends. And after their retirement, when they don't have any friends in their working sector, in sometimes they feel different depressions, and that lead to suicide also. So the rate of suicide among the male old people are higher, specifically after the death of their spouse. They cannot take care of themselves because they have never learned or socialized in that manner to take care of themselves. So they are always dependent on their wife or on their daughters, and they have never learned to take care of themselves in relation to having their and everyday life chores. So they always, from their young age, from the childhood, they are socialized in a manner that they are dependent on they have to depend on the women of uh, uh, the girl member in the family. So in the old age, when there is no one to take care of him, and he is not supporting different institutional help, or he doesn't have that kind of financial resources to take different institutional caregivers help. So they prefer to suicide. Because of this practice, that they are not able to take care of themselves, so they take this kind of decisions. So there is a higher rate of suicide among the male elderly than the women, because the women elderly, even if they are widowed and even if they are facing different kinds of financial problems, still they have this coping strategies that they can manage their life. And of course there is there are different studies that women are more spiritual and religious rather than the elderly male. So that gives them more strength rather than the male members. So in that way, the that socialization process of which specifically give more importance to the male members is actually bad for them, that they are always depending on the others and they cannot exercise that socialization or that taking care of themselves. This attitude is not present among them, so that they cannot cope with that situation where they are not getting any kind of help, they are not getting any kind of care from the others, so they cannot adjust with that situation. So they can do these kinds of steps. They can take these kinds of steps of suicide. So then, gendered expectation in the aging, that women face double discrimination, as we know that ageism and the sexism, that is that the pressure to remain youthful, it's one kind of pressure among the women, and ageism is basically the attitude of the younger population about the elderly people, that it's a social problem, that because of the ageism, the elderly people can have different problems and they suffer abuse also. So the ageism is basically it is a negative attitude about the people based on their age. That when we think that because of their age, because one has crossed 60 or 65, he or she cannot do something, specifically the technical things, dealing with if younger generation, they treat the elderly people in that way, and always they produce stereotype attitude or negative attitude towards the elderly people, that you cannot do anything, not capable of doing things because of your age. So that can create a discrimination, and that is one of the major cause of elderly abuse. The elderly abuse happens because of this ageism, and that they may struggle with the loss of identity after retirement. And there are socio-cultural factors of this ageism and gender norms, that society often devalues older women's, associating aging with the loss of beauty and relevance. And older men are often seen as wise and experienced, and while older women are seen as invisible or less desirable. And this kind of aging related gender gap is there in the society, and that's why in a this, gerontology or in a social gerontology, there is a major importance given on this feminization of aging. The feminization of aging refers to the growing proportion of older women compared to the older men in a global population. And this phenomenon is driven by several factors, including longer life expectancy, demographic trends, socioeconomic disparities that affect gene different for men and women. The term feminization of aging does not have a single widely recognized originator, but it emerged in demographic and gerontological literature in 20th century, and it is commonly used in sociology, aging studies, gender studies, uh, to describe the increasing proportion of women in older age group due to their longer life expectancy. And there are different key aspects of feminization of aging. That is the demographic trends, that the trends that the women are more likely to live longer, and more of the women rather than the male. Then the economic implications, as I have already told, that they don't, the women don't have the cases, have resources at their hand in patriarchal society. The male members have all the resources at their hand. So that's also. Then socio-cultural factors, that is ageism and discrimination is also there. Then this there are other issues of this aging and gender gap. Now we can understand this in terms of some theories, that is feminist theories of aging. That feminist scholars argue that aging is a gendered process where older women face unique social and economic disadvantage compared to men. Then a double jeopardized theory, that is older women experience both ages and sexes, leading to the greater marginalization than older men. Then society devalues women as their age, particularly in cultures that emphasize youth and beauty. Then older men may remain more social powers than the older women who face. So this society devalues women as they age, and in some culture particularly. And then gender cumulative disadvantage theory, different kinds of gender socialization related issues like poor health, then fewer resources, poverty rate is higher than in the women. So that gendered cumulative disadvantage basically gave more importance to different kinds of different reasons in a cumulative way. Then feminist political economy of aging, that this perspective examines how patriarchal and capitalist system shaped women's experience of aging, that different capitalist system and the low paying job and unpaid care, urban economics, that different policies which are not giving importance to the elderly women in relation to their improving their pensions, healthcare, caregiving support. So that feminist political economy of aging, that theory is on different issues related to how the women face different kinds of political and economic problems. Then life course perspective, this life course perspective is basically how throughout the life, how the gender role shaped their old age, that aging as a lifelong process shaped their social. Gender roles establish youth, so its expectation around caregiving, employment, marriage, which impact the aging experience, of course, and women are more likely to experience interpretations, interruption in employment because of their family care and lower lifetime earning, and affect their well-being in old age. Then activity and disengagement theories. Uh, these are classic aging theories. Their application to gender reveals different experiences for the men and women. Then activity theory, that also suggests that staying active and engaged leads to more fulfilling old age, and older men are often encouraged to remain in workforce and social sphere, while older women are pushed into caregiving roles or expected to disengage from their public life. Then the disengagement theory, which suggests that people naturally withdraw from their social so, that whether they would withdraw from different kinds of work, that also differs on the basis of gender. Then this intersectionality and aging that highlights how multiple forms of oppression based on gender, race, class, disability affect their aging experience. Older women of uh, color on the basis of LGBTQ individuals, disabled women face even greater challenges in aging due to the overlapping system of discriminations. And critical gerontology, they have challenged mainstream aging theories by emphasizing power, social inequality, systematic discrimination that examine how gender norms, capitalism, and social policies shape for men and women. Now, I am discussing some this well-being situation or well domain of well-being that I have discussed about the different gender issues of aging. Now, if we consider this well-being and the quality of life of individual, that has two dimensions: that objective well-being and the subjective well-being. Objective well-being is basically the healthy life expectancy at the age of 65 and above, an average number of years that a person 65 or above is expected to live in a state of good health. And the subjective well-being for the people aged 60 and above, it's basically their life satisfaction, how they think, how their active aging and the successful aging. That the successful aging and the productive aging terminologies are nowadays very common, and most of the researchers, they use these terminologies of successful aging and the productive aging that represent that the elderly people, that it's not important to live longer, but it's important to live in a quality way, or in a so that you can the one individual can have a more quality life, not in terms of objectivity or objective materialistic quality of life, but in terms of subjective quality of life too. That not in terms of materialistic quality of life, but the elderly has to have a subjective quality of life too. So, the physical health and well-being wise, there is a gender differences, and then the there is economic well-being and financial security. That well-being, I have already discussed about the economic issues. So that how the well-being can be denoted by this financial and economic things, though it's not always objective point of view, but even if the one person they don't have that much of resources, they can feel happiness or they can be happy. Uh, that is subjective measurement of their well-being and the quality of life. Then who define quality of life as an individual's perception of his or her position in life in the context of culture and value system in which they live, and in relation to their goals, expectations, standard, and concern. So it's not that it's related to always the objective criteria, but it depends on their values. It depends on their culture, how their culture socialize them to be happy and to have a good quality of life. So it's not sufficient to add years to the life, but add life to years is more important. So it is a broad ranging concept, and it also involves person's physical health, psychological state, level of independence, social relationship, and their relationship to the environment too. So it is both the subjective and objective criteria involves. And while we are talking about the quality of life of the elderly and the well-being of elderly, it's based on the particular individuals or specifically elderly people's goals, expectations, standard, and their concern, how their values and culture shape their goals and their life. Because we know that in India, there are different elderly people. They don't live in terms of the materialistic well-being, but the spirituality can give them more better quality of life. So there are also different quality of life theories. I'm not going into this thing. Ma'am, how much time I have? Your perspective.
Uh, you can, yes, ma'am, you can speak, not an issue. Around 15-20 minutes, you can speak, not an issue, ma'am.
So, if we talk about the quality of life index, there are basically four sub pillars, that is financial well being, social well being. Financial well being is basically in terms of income or money. The social well being, it's social network, the support system that people have, how the friendship and other relatives have important role also in that, that relate to their care. Then the health system, that how the caregivers are giving care, or how this health system and the policies for the health security are there in any countries. Then the income security is also important as a very important four pillar. And other sub pillar are there, eight sub pillars are there. That is educational achievement and the employment. How much elderly can also shape their old age, how much satisfied they would be, because you can see in our society that many elderly people, they don't have that much of resources, but they are educated, and they love reading books, and they just spend their time with reading the books, and that gives them more pleasure. And that educational achievement, it's not always the formal how much they are involved into different kinds of educational things, not only formal, that for informal also. Then the social status, how that elderly people is situated in society, what are their social status, that also predict their quality of life. Then physical security, then basic health, whether the elderly people are suffering from body from young age or not, or different psychological well-being, whether they are suffering from loneliness or social adjustment issues, any other issues, which are psychological related, psychological well-being. Then social security, which is basically the government scheme for the social security for the elderly people. Then enabling environment are different sub-pillars of the quality of life. Now, if we try to understand the elderly people, so third dimension, then there are, as we know, the nowadays the elderly people are living longer. So there is pertinent questions related to the elderly care. Who would take care of the elderly people? Because the younger generation are they are and not having that much of time to take care of their elderly parents or their elderly other family members. uh, and they actually they don't have the time for their kids also. So how they would get time for the elderly people? So there are uh, different areas why we every second elderly suffering from at least one chronic disease, so they need for a care. Stay in hospitals needs longer periods of time. Body resistance is lowered and they are easily susceptible to infections. Daily living activities and also deteriorate due to the immobility and loss of poor eyesight and other issues, age-related issues. At the risk of falls, they are at the risk of falls also. It's our family also, the elderly people often they fall because of different issues of sodium, potassium, and decreasing level of sodium, potassium, and other issues. There is a risk of falls, and if they falls, they break their hip and other hip joints. So that is a major issues for the elder care. And then the abuse of the elderly are also one of the important reasons for the elder care. That if the caregiver's presence is there, if the elderly are in a family, there is less likely to have the abuse among the elderly people. Now there are different challenges for this elder care, that changing family structure, as I have already mentioned, the younger generation, both the male and women are into the working sector. Previously, the women are the major care in the family. So when the male and female, both the members are in a working sector, then the caregivers is lacking within the family system. For the elderly people, women are more the caregivers. So with the changing family structure, nuclear family setup, the elder people are not getting care from the family members like in a joint family previously. So, lack of social support also is major reason that the elderly people are they don't get that much of social support because of they are less mobile and they don't have that much of economic resources also. So, uh, the support lacks with the ages. Then the social ageism, I have already mentioned about the ageism concept, that the negative attitude about the elderly people, that if the younger population they have a negative attitude towards aging people, that they are fragile, they have different kinds of health issues, they have different problems, so they are always dependent on the us. So if this kind of is there, that is the ageism is there, so obviously there are the problem of this elder care. Then the dependency, elderly people after 70 or 75, if they are not physically fit, they have to depend on their younger people. So this is also important challenge for the elder care. Then accessibility of healthcare because of financial resources, or because of sometimes the elderly people have enough money, but they don't have enough support or enough manpower, so that somebody help them to go to the hospital, or to accompany them with the hospital or doctor, or for any kind of issues. They don't get the uh, different kinds of health related care from the younger people. Then lack of health promotional strategies and attitude. Because in most of the cases, the elderly people, those who suffer from the young age, they would suffer more in their old age. So, if there is lacking of health related health promotional strategies or health seeking behavior, then there is more likely to get more health related problem in the old age. Then appropriate geriatric healthcare facility is lacking. Then management of disease and accessibility and affordability of healthcare, extension of alternative system of medicine, home-based care, then feminization of aging, These are all challenges for this elder care things. Now, we can consider the elder care in terms of three issues, that major three issues, that medical care, social care, and the security. Medical care is basically preventive service and the curative service. Then social care are basically care from the family and care outside family. Care outside family means the old age home care and the daycare center. Different daycare centers are also available for the elderly people. Like the children, the nowadays the daycare center for the elderly people are also there. They can go to the daycare center and they can leave for the entire day and they can come back at the night. So this daycare center is also is a care outside the family. Then security, which is related to the law and programs, then care related issues are usually divided in these areas. Then about the preventive health care. The preventive health care can be the primary prevention, then the secondary prevention, and the tertiary prevention. Primary prevention means that one has to take care of their health from the beginning, from their young age, and that healthy habits should be developed from the young age so that different kinds of diseases that will be less in their old age. So the addiction to the smoking and alcohol, uh, that has to be less consumed from their young age, so that that would not affect in their old age. Then lack of exercise, then inadequate sleep, then predisposing factors of coronary heart disease. These are all primary prevention one can take. Then the secondary, then the preventive healthcare issues can be related to the influenza related and pneumococcal, tetanus, different kinds of immunization that can help as a preventive healthcare issues. Then osteoporosis prevention, that calcium, dies, then injury prevention, that burns, accident, and fall should be prevented by removal of the obstacle, keep the floor dry, then wearing of flat shoes, railing or hand holding bars in a bathroom or washroom, then low level switches, easy and safe access to the water, and the secondary screening is secondary prevention is basically screening if somebody has any kind of issues with their eyes or ear or any other issues. That screening can be done immediately so that they can prevent the major health issues. Then screening help in early detection of modifiable risk factor and their adequate management. Hypertension or hypertension, diabetes, dental problem, drug adverse effects, cancer, infection, eyes, ears, and early detection and treatment is important step in secondary prevention of disease and disabilities. Then the tertiary rehabilitation and caregiver supports. And rehabilitation is a problem solving process focused on the patient's functional ability. Rehabilitation team includes a physician, physiotherapist, occupational therapist, speech and language therapist, psychiatrist, then the nurse and the social workers. And intervention in rehabilitation can be that hard interventions related to physiotherapy, occupational therapy, aids and adaptation, speech and language therapy, advice, counseling, encouragement, listening. Then supporting the caregivers. The caregivers stress is very important issues because nowadays, paid handmade, they are they have to give this service everyday life. So if the elderly having different chronic disease and suffering from diseases for longer time, caregiver has to have different stresses. has to have the stress, be it a paid or unpaid caregiver. The family members, if it is a family members also, so the social attitude and the physicians support, the organization of daycare centers, then counseling of the caregivers can be the strategies or supporting for the caregivers. It's a caregiver stress theory is important in this perspective, that uh, stress theory is basically saying that maltreatment occurs when family members caring for an impaired vulnerable adults are unable to adequately manage their caregiving responsibilities. The elderly victim is typically described as highly dependent on the caregiver, who become overwhelmed and frustrated and abusive because of the continuous caretaking demands posted by the elderly people. So, if you have ever seen any elderly people, uh, they are suffering longer time, more than 3 years, if they are bedridden, then you must have seen that it's not their fault, but because of their bedridden ability of moving, they are always thinking about their health. And if they are not getting different things at time, they always become frustrated, or they always shouted on their caregivers. So the caregivers sometimes can be frustrated, and that give them some abusive. They may take some abusive steps also. Now the types of then it can be formal care, that is old age home. Nowadays there is mushroom.
Ma'am, you're not audible.
Hello? Am I audible?
No, not much, like very distant voice.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can hear you.
So, formal care is professional home care service, then old age home, daycare centers. Then there is one of the important issues nowadays, that care through the assistive technology. There are different assistive technology nowadays available that can help the younger people to take care of their elderly. The nature of care can be divided into 7 subdivision. That instrumental care, that is the hands-on caregiving, mostly recognized as caregiving, that is food on time, medicine, cleaning, personal hygiene, sorry, and other everyday life things. Then the preventive care is the purpose of preventing both physical and mental illness, regular health checkups, physical and mental deterioration, arrangement of recreational facilities, that is watching TV together, celebrating festivals. Then supervisory care is basically the supervision on the daily routine, that is medicine intake in proper time, regular medical checkup, arrangement of things for elderly, along with the protection of self-esteem and dignity. Then anticipatory care is decisions and the behavior based on the possible future needs of the elderly. That means marketing, if the elderly people is going to require something from the market, then medicine, food, especially health related to the handling of Android mobile, different technical issue, technical gadgets like e-banking, all these. So they can seek help. That is
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. if you can wind up a bit. We are just running short of time. Thank you, ma'am.
There is also reciprocal care and reconstructive care. So the differences of elder care is also based on the age and their gender, the economic condition, technological skills, children's attitude, and nowadays there are assistive technologies are also available. So uh, there are different gender issues while we discuss about the people and care related issues also. There is difference in terms of gender. So that's it. We'll discuss about the gender, how the aging is shaped in terms of gender and different gender experiences. And the care issues are also different dimensions of care are there, and that also shaped in terms of gender roles and gender perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a detailed and an extensive lecture on the relation between aging and gender, how interdependent is both the variables, how gender is dependent on aging, as well as how aging is also shaped by certain gender-related factors. Now, I would like to request our participants that if they have any questions, you can either write in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask the speaker directly. Participants are requested to write your questions in the chat box. If you have any question related to our guest speaker's lecture today, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask the speaker directly. So I think the participants don't have any such question probably. So that means our speaker has explained it very well, very extensively. Any question, anyone? I think no such questions. So thank you very much, ma'am. So with this, we will move on to the concluding session. So I would like to request our respected director, sir, Dr. Avindu Disanayak, sir, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Iboan. Good evening, everyone. I think am I audible, right? Yes. It is with great pleasure and gratitude that I stand before you today to express my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Saheli, for her insightful and thought-provoking lecture on aging through the lens of gender perspective of care and well-being. So, Dr. Goheli, your expertise and dedication to these crucial subjects have truly enlightened us, all of us. It's a wonderful event as well. So the intersection of aging and gender is often overlooked, yet it plays a fundamental role in shaping the well-being and care systems in our societies. Your presentation today has not only deepened for our understanding, but also encouraged us to critically engage with these issues in our academic and professional journeys. So I would also like to extend my appreciation to all the participants who joined us for this session. Your enthusiasm and the engagement make such discussions meaningful and impactful. At Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, we are committed to fostering knowledge, sharing platforms like that kind of events, ensuring that essential topics like gender and aging receive the attention they deserve. Once again, Dr. Our guest speaker, thank you for your sharing your time, wisdom, and invaluable insights with us today. We look forward to more collaborations in the future as well. Wishing everyone continue success in their academic and professional endeavors. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a
And
beautifully
thank you very
presented.
much, our head of the department, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Madhurima Das Gupta.
Yes.
So, yeah, the best I know it. Thank you very much, organize that kind of events. That's very, very important for me and all of the society. Now I think you make the bridge Sri Lanka to India, and not only India, whole world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm indeed grateful to you for being able to organize such events. Without your support, your guidance, these webinars would not have been successful for me to conduct it. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out your time from your busy schedule and enlightening all of us on such an important, pertinent issue. Participants, you all are requested to kindly fill up the feedback form, which is already posted in the chat box. Please fill up the feedback form to receive your certificates for the webinar. And now I request all the participants to kindly switch on your camera so that we can be prepared for the group photo for today. All the participants are requested to kindly switch on your camera for a few minutes so that we can take the group photo for today's webinar. I think there are many participants from Sri Lanka as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
It's a great pleasure to have global students.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining.
Yes, now it's done. Thank you very much, my dear students and everyone.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone, especially sir and ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you so much, sir. And thanks to all the participants for being a part of this webinar. Please fill up the feedback form before leaving. Thank you.